Hi there, Kristen here, and I'm the founder of Roots of Radiance Reiki. Today I want to talk a little bit about how highly sensitive folks who identify as introverts, or empaths, can use Reiki to really help themselves manage their big emotions and really help themselves ground so that they can show up more authentically in spaces. I know that I myself identify as an introvert and an empath and highly sensitive. And that has meant for me is that in a lot of my life, when I didn't know how to manage my own energy and offer myself protection and containment and grounding, it meant that social situations were really overwhelming for me, which meant that I often didn't engage in them. Or if I did, I stayed on the peripheral. I kind of found myself floating to the background, right? Not really engaging with folks, which meant that often held me back from deepening into relationships with people who could really be really good friends of mine, really good allies of mine, right? It meant that I often, left myself feeling really alone, right? And isolated. And so Reiki has helped me a lot in my ability to really deepen into relationships by really allowing my own self space to manage my own energy and give myself some energy containment so that when I show up in spaces, I can kind of modulate my energy rather than being super overwhelmed by everything that's going on. So, today I want to talk a little bit about using Reiki to help us ground. I think that for anyone who's super sensitive, anyone who identifies as an empath, anyone who identifies as really introverted, one of the biggest gifts that we can give ourselves is grounding, right? It's such a simple little thing that can really tether our energy and help keep us from getting really flustered, overwhelmed, right? Anyone who's really sensitive is not just managing our own energy, we're often managing, without even knowing it, the energy of other people. Maybe not managing, but we're navigating it, right? We are super sensitive to everyone else's energy. And so if we are ungrounded, it gives other people's energy the opportunity to sweep us off our feet and take us somewhere that maybe we didn't want to go. So when we're able to ground our energy, we're able to stay more in alignment with ourselves and we're able to act more from our own center rather than always being led by other people's energy or thrown off course by other people's energy. We are then able to make decisions from our centered place, right? So grounding then really becomes a really great way to help us manage our own overwhelm and also to help keep us centered in our own selves, right? So, grounding. One of the biggest ways that we can ground is to really just bring our awareness into the lower half of our body, right? So often we spend so much time up in our brains, up in our heads, that we forget about the rest of this body that is below, like pretty much like the head and below. So, whenever we can bring our awareness down, 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 it becomes really potent. So we're not just floating heads, right? We have legs, we have hips, we have bellies, right? So when we can bring our awareness down to our feet, where are our feet right now? Can we feel them grounded on the ground? Can we move our toes and maybe grip the ground, grip our shoes, right? Can we feel our heels kind of push into the ground, give ourselves a little bit of feeling there, feeling our heels push down? Are we aware of where our butt is meeting the chair that we're sitting on, that lower half of ourselves, where our low back maybe is being supported by the chair, where our hips and our rear are meeting the seat that we're on? Really becoming aware of our lower half of our body and grounding into it. And so by that, what I mean is, let's take a moment here together, okay? I'm going to set up so that we can see bodies, okay? So hold on. Okay, hi there. All right, so if we're standing, how can we become really aware of our hips, right? Maybe we give our knees a little bit of a shake so they're not super tight. Maybe we use our feet and kind of grip into the ground. Maybe we are going to set our hands on our hips now and just let all of our energy fade down. For those of us who are working with Reiki, let's call on the Reiki right now and ask the Reiki, please help me ground my energy. Imagine that all of your energy is almost like a waterfall, and it's water falling down, 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 into your hips, into your feet, and anchoring down into the ground. right? We can imagine it's like roots, right, that are growing out from us. Maybe our hips become like roots and our feet are reaching into the ground. And we're imagining and using and leaning on that Reiki to really help us ground our energy. Now, this is something that we can do internally inside our head. We don't have to say anything out loud. We don't even have to make it visibly known that we're doing anything, right? If we just put our hands on our hips, it's not really obvious. So if we're in a big crowded space and we start to feel overwhelmed, just bring our hands down onto our hips, even like this, like with our shoulders out, to give ourselves some more spaciousness, like we're taking up more space. And just to let our awareness really filter down into the ground, bringing almost all of our awareness to our feet and letting any residual energy and asking the Reiki, take anything that's not mine, move it out of me through my feet into the ground. Take any hyper residual energy that's not serving me right now, move it out of me, out through my feet. And you'll feel almost this wash of the Reiki energy washing out of you. If you don't feel anything in the beginning, that's totally fine. This is something that definitely will take time to become more sensitive to. But for folks who are really, really sensitive, I'm sure that you're working with Reiki, I'm sure that you're feeling more and more energy move through you, which means that this grounding activity, this activity of reconnecting really with our lower region, right? Our hips down, can be a really potent practice for helping the high vibrational Reiki energy to really anchor out of us. Sometimes if we're using Reiki a lot and we're not grounding, it is going to feel overwhelming. Grounding is one of the most important practices that we can have when we're using Reiki. So again, this is really just about really becoming aware of our lower half. It's not about stiffening and locking, right? Notice how like I'm trying to be loose here. That's what's going to really help the energy flow out of us, right? It's really also helpful as well if we want to connect with the earth. And we can also ask earth energy to move up through our feet with the support of the Reiki and help ground our energy and revitalize us. This connection with the earth can be a really poignant practice for all of us who are hyper sensitive. For those of us who are really sensitive, we live most of our lives in communication with other people's energy without even realizing it, which means that sometimes it's hard to tell the difference of where we start and where we end, which can be really challenging when we're trying to really get in alignment with ourselves and figure out what we want in life. So for those of you who are hypersensitive, empathic, introverted, also working with Reiki, building a relationship and starting to feel into earth energy can be a really nice way to still practice that commingling, but feel what it might feel like if that commingling was supportive, right? Because the practice of melding energy isn't inherently a bad thing, right? For many of us who have these really hypersensitive energy systems, we're here for a reason. That's our gift, right? That is part of our magic, right? Is that we are hypersensitive. Our sensitivities are going to help us do what we came here to do. But when we are overwhelmed by them, when we are scared by them, when we are unable to really manage them in a way that supports us, uplifts us, helps us do our work, it means that we often then live how I've lived a lot of my life, right? In isolation, right? Hiding my gift, shutting my emotions down, shutting myself down, right? Avoiding. And all of that really just leads to, at least for me, a life that's not really fulfilled, a life that is disconnected from those that we're supposed to be connected with. And so for those of you, any of you who are working with Reiki, who are really sensitive, who are trying to find what is my unique purpose, my unique gift, my unique offering thing that I'm here to do? How can I live more in alignment with my truth instead of always being pulled by other people, right? The invitation then is, how do I learn how to modulate my own energy so that I can give myself containment and also then sometimes open myself up when it's beneficial for the work that I'm doing, right? So grounding. Grounding is going to be the biggest, I would say, practice for any highly sensitive person, for any empath, for anyone who's really working on increasing their intuitive abilities and learning how to work with their sensitivities as part of their magic, as opposed to viewing their sensitivities as a curse, right? So for those of us working with our sensitivities, wanting to find the gift, the magic in our sensitivities, grounding is going to be the most important thing that you can work on in the very beginning. Because if we're ungrounded, we're pulled everywhere, right? But when we're grounded, the strongest wind can blow us and we're still, fluid, flowing. So I would highly encourage you to practice this grounding technique, really just getting connected with your lower region, reconnecting with your feet, reconnecting with the ground. Maybe this looks like sitting on the mat ground, right? Maybe this looks like more floor time. Maybe this looks like more awareness of your hips and your feet. Maybe you set an alarm for yourself. So periodically throughout the day, you're forced to bring your attention from this really hyper space up here and bring it down more into your lower region so that you can ground, right? So we've talked about a lot today. Grounding, 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 grounding. So important. If you are a highly sensitive person, an empath, an introvert, and you have not been attuned to Reiki and are interested in how Reiki could help you, I would really love to teach you, to attune you, to bring you into relationship with this wise, spiritual, loving energy known as Reiki, right? So I will be teaching a course in Reiki 1, using Reiki for self-healing for really sensitive folks, introverts, empaths. I'll be teaching that on March 6th. It's a Saturday. I would love for you to join. This week only, I'll be doing a discount, so 30% off the listed price. So please, 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 if you're interested, this week only, we're doing 30% off of the registration price for Reiki 1 for self-healing. I'll put the link down in the comments for where you can register. I would love to see you there. Reiki is an immense gift for anyone who is learning how to manage their own energy and really tune in to the wise sensitivities that live in our body, right? The messages that are speaking to us through our bodies. Many of us highly sensitive people are here for a reason. Our sensitivities are a gift given to us to help us move this world closer to justice. And the only way that we can really do that is by learning how to tune into, listen to, manage, and work with our own sensitivities. So if that's something that interests you and you're interested in learning how to use Reiki to support your intuitive development, to support your journey into really coming back into relationship with yourself and your sensitivities, I would love to teach you. I teach Reiki in a very intuitive style. And really want to uplift our own inner wisdom, right? We have the answers that we seek within us. We only need to learn how to tune into them. Yeah. Again, my name is Kristen. I'm the founder of Roots of Radiance Reiki, and I would love for you to join me Saturday, March 6th for Reiki 1, learning how to use Reiki to self-heal and to really tune into our own sensitivities and to really manage our own energy so that we can show up as the brilliant, radiant beings that we are. We need you here. I love you. Bye now.